If you're completely new to sports betting, in this video I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and show you exactly how you can get started. Now there are a lot of things you need to know and it might seem really overwhelming at first, but I promise it is a lot of fun and you actually can make some pretty decent money. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is sign up for a sports book. I recommend one of the three on this list. Fanduel, they're probably the biggest one. DraftKings, they're probably the second biggest one, and Caesar Sportsbook. Now I do want to mention that sportsbooks do need to be legal in your state, so your physical address has to match where you sign up. Meaning I live in Kansas, just follow the Yellow Book Road and you'll get to my house easily. Oh come on, that was the Wizard of Oz. I know you've seen the movie. Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. But let's say you lived in Missouri and sports betting is not legal there. You couldn't sign up for an account and give them the wrong address in hopes that you could start betting on sports. Also, you can't use a VPN, a virtual private network, and trick the sports book into thinking that you live somewhere else. Don't even go down that road. The industry is highly regulated in the United States, and your account will get suspended and you won't get any of your winnings. It's just not worth it. I do want to mention that FanDuel, DraftKings, and Caesar Sports all do have mobile apps. This comes in really helpful when you're running from the cops, but they work with both iPhones and Android devices. Okay, so the first thing we need to talk about is managing your bankroll. Basically, since you're a newbie, I would recommend that you start with $100. So just deposit $100 in, we'll say, your FanDuel account. Now, we need to be placing our bets in units, which is just a fancy way of saying how we're going to manage our bankroll. Since we have $100, we're going to take a conservative approach and we're going to bet 1% of that. 1% of that would be $1 a bet. And a lot of newbies will actually, bet $25 for 4 bets for their first bets when they get started. That's really dumber than peeing in the sink. Yeah, I've actually done it, but that's a different story for another time. And don't worry if you're confused about managing your bankroll. I've done a whole video on that, which goes into full detail on it. But just know that we got $100 in our account and we're going to be placing $1 on each wager we place. Now, optionally, if you're broker than Donald Trump, you can start with $50. And I guess we're still going to be placing our $1 wagers. But the main thing is I just don't want you to put $100 in and bet a majority of it away right from the beginning. I do want to point out in this video that I will be using American odds. So if you're located anywhere other than the United States, you might use a decimal or fractional system like the UK. And I would like to apologize to the United Kingdom for throwing your tea away many years ago. I told people not to do that, but they did it anyway. But thanks for the Austin Power movies. They were great. Oh wait, you didn't make those? Well, thanks for nothing. Okay, so now I'm going to show you 4 good ways in which you can make bets. The first one is betting with points or spreads. Basically, you're picking a team and they can win or lose by a certain amount. Next, you'll be betting on games and you'll just be picking the winner. So if you pick the Yankees to win, you'll win the bet. Next, I'll be talking about overs and unders, which means the total points scored. For instance, in a football game, when the Colts play the Patriots, I might take the under for 45 points. And then lastly, I'll be talking about player props, which you're just picking a player to score a certain amount of points. Like in basketball, you might take LeBron James for 35 plus points. Okay, so spread betting is a very popular way which many sports bettors will bet on a game. Basically, it's taking a team and they have to win by a certain amount of points or they could lose by a certain amount of points. Now, what I mean by winning by a certain amount of points is the Yankees, you see it's negative 1.5. That means if the Yankees win by 2 runs, you're going to win that bet. You can't score half a point in baseball. Now, if the Red Sox, they come within 1 run, then you would win that bet. And in football with the Jets, they need to win by 5.5 points and you would win that bet. And with the Bills, if they came within 5.5 points, you would win that bet. Now the next number shows basically if it has a negative next to it, the negative 160 to the Yankees means that they're favored. More people are taking the Yankees over the Red Sox. So a negative 160 would pay, if you put $1 on it, you would get about 63 cents profit. Now if you went with the Red Sox and you put $1 on it, you would get $1.50. And with the Jets, if you were to put $1 on them, you would get $1.25 back. With the Bills, if you put $1 on them, you would get 77 cents. So hopefully that makes sense when betting with points. And I'm going to show you a real life example inside my FanDuel account. So what we're doing is we're looking at this Royals and Tampa Bay Rays game. And Zach Greinke's pitching, so we want to take the Royals for plus 1.5. It's at negative 104. Now this probably isn't the smartest bet, and the Royals really suck this year, but that plus 1.5 actually means that they can lose by 1 run and we still win the bet. So what we do is we click on the bet that we want, and then we put in $1, and in Fanduel it shows that if we bet $1 we win 96 cents. Okay, the next way to bet is with the money line. The money line is much more straightforward. You're just picking a team to win. Meaning in my example with the Yankees versus the Red Sox, more people are picking the Yankees versus the Red Sox. If you place $1 on the Yankees to win, you only win 38 cents. However, if you pick the Red Sox to win, which would be an upset, $1 would get you $2.50. Now, I always tell people when you're betting on money lines, go for negative 100 to 150. It doesn't pay much to win games that are negative 260. Or bet with the underdogs because it pays more. And it's well worth your bet to risk $1 to win $2.50. And the same thing can be said about the Jets and Bills game. More people are picking the Bills to win and less people are picking the Jets. Basically, the Bills are the favorites and the Jets are the underdogs. Now I'm going to give you a real life example inside my Fanduel account. Okay, next bet that we're interested in is this New York Yankees and Seattle Mariners game, right? The Yankees are playing at home, and Seattle doesn't play too good on the road, so we're just going to go with the money line. We don't care about the score or anything. As long as the Yankees win, which is at 112, negative 112, we will win our bet. So we'd click on that, and we'd put in $1, and you can see we'd win 89 cents. Another really popular way that you can make sports bets is by betting on the over and under. When you're betting on the over and under, you're taking two teams and you're combining their score. For instance, in this Yankees and Red Sox game, we got the over and under at 8.5 points. And with the Jets and Bills, we got the over and under as 48.5 points. That means it doesn't really matter who wins the game. As long as somebody goes over or under and you bet on it, you will win. There can be a lot of things that impact this, like injuries or players being rested, or even the weather, which I've made videos on showing how the weather can affect certain games. So now I'm going to show you a real life example inside my Fanduel account. Okay, so another way of betting is over and unders. And let's say we're interested in this Minnesota and Detroit Tigers game. And we feel pretty confident and Minnesota's pitching and they're going to get under. That means both teams, when you add their score together, like 4-3, would be under 8.5 runs. As long as their combined total is under 8.5 runs, we'd win the bet. So what you would do is you would find this Minnesota and Detroit Tigers game, and you would, if you were interested in the under, you'd click the under 8.5, and you would put in your $1 wager, and you would win 87 cents. Another very popular way in which sports bettors bet is by betting on player props. Now, player props are very popular, and really I think they're the most efficient way to bet. Meaning if you're betting on Aaron Judge to get 1.5 hits on the over, it doesn't really matter if the pitching shows up for the Yankees, if anybody else hits on the team. You're just betting on that player. In order to win a spread bet or a money line bet, a number of players have to come together to win. So if the pitching absolutely tanks and Aaron Judge gets 4 hits, it doesn't really matter if they lose the game. Okay, so for my example with the Bills and Jets, we would be taking Josh Allen to go over 255.5 yards. So it really doesn't matter if the Bills win or not. As long as Josh Allen goes over the certain amount of yards, we will win. Again, player props are probably one of the most efficient ways to make sports bets, and your winning percentage goes up big time if you really know what you're doing. Not to mention they're just kind of fun to play anyway. Now I'm going to show you a real life example inside my Fanduel account. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to bet on player props. And let's say we're interested in this Pittsburgh Pirates and Miami Marlins game. You just click on the game, then you scroll over, and let's say we're interested in pitcher props. You could do batter props, but for this example, we're just going to do pitcher props. And let's say that we want to go with Braxton Garrett. He's going to get under 5.5 strikeouts, meaning if he gets 5.5 strikeouts or less, we're going to win our bet. And it's at plus 110, so it actually pays out better than a negative. And if we go ahead and put $1 on that, you can see we win $1.10. Okay, so as you can see, we've been placing our $1 bets, but sometime we're going to want to increase that amount. Meaning if we had $100 in our account and say 30 days go by and now we have $125 in our account, let's start making 2% bets or 3% bets. The reason I'm teaching you this method is because you don't want to start betting all your bankroll. You only want to do 1 to 3% of your bets on each game. This is how people lose their entire bankroll. Plus, if you're new to sports betting, it's good to start small and just learn from your mistakes. Rome wasn't built in a day. I hate that saying. Whoever says that next is going to get punched in the face. Now, there are a number of things that you need to avoid when you're doing sports betting, and one of them is betting sports parlays. These are horrible. These are basically you're taking 5 wagers and every wager has to hit and then you will get a big payout. Now, a lot of people think that they're really good because you get a ton of money, but if you had a 5-game parlay, you have a 7.52 chance of winning. Don't worry, I've done videos on parlays and mistakes that a lot of sports bettors make. I'd advise you to check those out too. Okay, so hopefully you've learned something in this video and you can start making smarter bets. If you like this video, would you go ahead and like it and leave a comment. Say something weird. I love weird comments. As always, there are links in the description. And I'm out. I gotta go swim in a pool full of cash.